Some claim that the age of a true gentleman is far behind us, but here at Tweet4 Media, we definitely disagree. He may appear in different guises today, but the values and ideals that make him a gent still stand. Gentlemen, aspiring gentlemen, and of course, our partners that hold us down. I'm Ron Grant. Welcome to Season 5 of The Art of a Distinguished Gentleman, a show that is essentially poised to help guide modern-day men into 21st century distinguished gentlemen. It's not always about suits or bow ties, but instead we captivate and capture real raw life lessons that translate to grounded, community-minded, well-rounded men. Thank you all for taking this journey with me. Troy Christopher is a British Virgin Islander who is absolutely committed to community empowerment, sustainability, and creating a positive impact in the overall progression of the BVI. Troy's passion has always been to serve in a capacity to invoke positive change in the community. He focuses on a life of service through various avenues that give Virgin Islanders the tools they need to advocate for themselves and preserve the overall culture. He is a two-time co-chairman of the Festival and Fairs Parade Subcommittee and former director of the VI Lander Films Limited, as well as the immediate past chairman of the BVI Red Cross. He is actually also a professional bowler, and currently he serves as the chairman of the Board of Governors for the British Virgin Islands Red Cross, along with being a proud member of the Lions Club of Tortola, where he continues to effect change as a humanitarian and a proud Virgin Islander. He envisions a stronger and more resilient Virgin Islands and hopes that his efforts and networks can help provide a more hopeful future. Ladies and gentlemen, joining me is a husband and father, the very hardworking Troy Christopher. Joining me on set to discuss the leading professionals here in the Virgin Islands and the next step. He is by far a true 21st century distinguished gentleman. We'll be right back after a quick commercial break. Gentlemen, it's time to discover That Guy Experience. We are a product line specifically catering to the men with beards. Our products are 100% natural and handmade right here in the BVI. Butters, oils, and cleansing products, all designed to add softeners, shine, and growth to your beard and hair. Visit us at Meraki Hair Clinic or thatguybvi.com and begin your journey as that guy. We are a life-changing experience. That Guy Hair and Beard Products. Viewers, welcome back, and thank you so much for sticking with us. I am joined by my good friend and the one and only Troy Christopher. You didn't hear it, but after the introduction, he gave a big sigh like, yes, that's you.
Listen, it's just amazing to see you do what you do, and I just want to thank you for being here and being part of your huge and great body of work.
Appreciate it, man. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, sir.
Absolutely. You have really engulfed yourself and your life into community service. Honestly, just being authentic and very open, where do you find the time?
It's one of those things that you just have to be committed. You try to slice yourself up in as much small slices as you can. And, there'll always be that balance between professional life, the charitable life, your home life, your private life, that little spot that you save for yourself, that little piece. But, you just make it happen. Everything falls into place as every day goes by, and you just stay committed to what you really want.
When you save a little piece for Troy, what do you do to de-stress?
Oh, but that's Troy's quiet time.
Okay.
That's that place where you go where there's no noise, no distractions. But on the flip side, that could always be the place where it's most chaotic, most loud. That I find in those places, that's where I find true peace and quiet. Being in open areas, people moving about, people talking, there's socializing going on. You find somewhat of a stillness in that, for me, at least.
Okay. So you consider yourself definitely an outdoors type of guy?
Yes,
Wonderful.
Definitely outdoors.
Now, as I mentioned in your introduction, a number of different avenues that you've served and continue to serve.
Right.
I want to start with the Lions Club because you've definitely helped, along with your other members, to really ignite positive change in the community. Lions has been one of the long-standing organizations like Rotary,
Right.
who have significantly contributed to the fabric of our
Right.
community. Tell us about your initial introduction. At what age did you just kind of realize that you wanted to serve like this?
Well, as a Lion, I came in very late in the game.
Okay.
Probably this will be my second year as a Lion.
Okay.
I found the organization to be very authentic, very grassroots oriented, more focusing on the communities themselves inwards. I think that at the end of the day, there are other organizations such as Rotary that do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
To me, Lions Club is more impactful.
Okay.
And I think that when you look into the organization itself, the other members, they're very down to earth, very friendly, very sociable,
Mm-hmm.
and you just have to admire that. And that's something that I admire.
Wonderful. Now, does it ever get a bit tiring or wearisome?
Oh, quite naturally, yes, it does. But then you always stay mindful of what you're trying to accomplish. You're trying to help others, to serve, to be out there, to be an example to others that they might see your light shining and want to do likewise.
Wonderful.
So,
I highlighted the fact that you are a husband and father, father of two,
yes,
because I think it's important that we understand that a lot of the people that are serving us in various capacities, they too have families.
Yes.
They too have lives. At
Yes.
the end of the day, they too go home tired and still having to serve the family, having after served the public.
right.
Tell us about your family and your navigation of being the man of the house.
Well, I am blessed to have a beautiful, supportive wife at home. That understands my purpose in terms of giving back to the community and helping as much as I can. And she does what she has to do to help me in that endeavor. Like I said, very, very supportive, very understanding. But sometimes as men, we tend to kind of push that boundary a bit too far.
Okay.
So
That's true.
I'm continuously mindful that yes, she allows me to do certain things, but there has to be that ground, that balancing act that you have to perform.
Understood. And fatherhood, what has that journey been like for you?
It's been amazing,
Nice.
I've once again, I think that as a man, if you have people around you that are supportive of what you're doing, it makes all the difference. For me, when it relates to my son, Kai, I call him Future. Future right now currently in the States with my mom because he was up there post Irma.
That's a dope nickname, by the way.
Yes, yeah.
Nice. I
You're
like
right.
that.
So he's up there with my mom. He's actually now 18 years old and he has aspirations to actually go into the Air Force.
Okay.
So that's one thing that he's thinking about doing. But once again, it all goes back to that support, having people that are behind of you, pushing you, ensuring that, yes, you are doing the right thing. And I think that's something that men don't usually get, that whisper of encouragement or that whisper of confidence saying, yes, you are doing the right thing. Yes, continue doing what you're doing. Keep pushing. I find that as men, we have to find that inner strength from within us, which sometimes you get tired or sometimes you just don't have it in you to push yourself. That's where that support from outside is so helpful and so instrumental in doing what you do.
I could not agree with you more. Why do you think that still is in this day and age where the male species is just expected to be
Oh, wow.
and not necessarily feel?
I think that goes back to our grandfathers and our fathers where they were just expected to just bring home the bacon. They were just expected to till the land. They were just expected to just be, not knowing that they have feelings or they have thoughts or they have aspirations to be better. But because in that certain period that they lived in, they were expected to just do this.
Yeah.
If you even look at what a man's expected to do, he's not expected to cry. He's not expected to feel or hurt. He's not expected
anxiety.
have anxiety. No, because he's just expected to be. Those are traits for the ladies. But as a man, you're not supposed to have those things, and we do. Men's mental health is very important. So I find that it's something that's set back before our time, but I find that now it's slowly coming to the forefront where men's health is important, men's feelings are important. These are things that we have to talk about.
Good. When you look at the country, having served in various capacities and serving on the board of governors for the BVI Red Cross, is there anything particularly on a national level that keeps you up at night, that really concerns you?
Or lack of men in the forefront of leadership, in the forefront of innovation, in the forefront of pay, salary. I find that there's a huge decline in men taking their rightful places in industries,
Wow.
in the forefront in innovation. They're not there anymore. You find that women are now taking those lead roles and just taking them but commanding them, where men are now just quietly, subtly sitting in the back. And now we're reduced to a point where when you look for the men, our generation, I consider our generation to be almost the last generation.
Okay.
We're like the last of a dying breed when it comes to things like chivalry and manners
Yes.
and just being a gentleman. Yeah.
So a good old gentleman, yeah.
Just a good old plain gentleman. You know, so much men, young men, I see walk the street and you can't get a good morning out of them, or excuse me, ladies, or you open the door. Simple things that a man should know or a man should be taught. These young men these days, they don't have it. And that's a problem. That's keep me up at night. Things like that. Because at the end of the day, these young men will be our future leaders.
Agree.
Or if we don't correct it or we don't find ways to empower them, like I commend you for Sons in Suits for having that avenue to actually groom and empower men to come into that light on leadership. Because if we don't have avenues like that, then we'll find ourselves in a society where our premier might be a woman. No offense, you know,
Which is okay.
yeah, which is totally fine. But in terms of men taking their rightful place in society, that will be extinct.
What is very interesting for me about your observation is that it's almost as if in a sense we've been put on the back burner, and when you think of leadership, just like you've highlighted, there's absolutely nothing wrong with us sitting side by side.
Oh, totally.
The powerful women.
Yes.
But there's something in the makeup that's from a very young age causing young men to not necessarily put themselves in positions to be leaders and to put in the work, most importantly.
Right.
But I want to go back to something that you said that I can relate to, which is very powerful, meaning, you know, the lack of chivalry, but most important, the lack of respect for each other.
Correct.
As men.
Definitely.
You mentioned, you know, going down the road and not saying good morning or good afternoon or opening the door for a lady, but you see in our culture, I've experienced it too, where you might be walking side by side. I actually had an experience recently, which I'm going to share. But you're walking side by side by another man, and that acknowledgement of
Right.
good morning, king,
Right.
you know, salute,
Yeah.
whatever it is, of another man,
Right.
is non-existent. I'll give you an example. I was walking or going to buy some lunch the other day, and I had to pass. It was an alley. I had to pass a gentleman. You actually have to pass. So I stood. I was on my phone.
Right.
And while I was standing, a gentleman was coming down, and he was passing. Young enough, older than me,
Right.
young. And the area was kind of mossy, so it was wet.
Right.
And while I was on my phone, I observed him.
Right.
I didn't have to, but I did,
Correct.
just by decent practice. And I said, good morning, or good afternoon at the time. And he just kept walking, right? And in walking, he slipped,
Ooh.
right? Because as I mentioned, it
Grass
was
mossy.
He slipped. And I'm going to lie to you, I could not resist making it a teachable moment.
Right.
And I said to him, in so many words, I was like, excuse me, you good? He's like, yeah, good. I said, just so you know, your ass could have fallen just now,
Right.
and I would have still had to be the one to pick you up.
Correct.
And I said, let's remember that. Let's not walk over each other.
Exactly.
I hoped that he was able to take it. I could see the embarrassment
Right.
on his face. But in hindsight, that is what we've come to for no apparent reason. The lack
Right.
of just respect for each other. And I think that's something we have to work on.
I totally agree. I think as men, I don't know. Well, I want to be like, I don't know, but I don't know. I'll say for the I don't know, but we have this insecurity as men that if we address each other as men or say, like you said, salute king, good morning king, then we're sissies, or that's a feminine thing. Men don't greet men, but I dare to say that's not true. I dare to say that comes from a place of insecurity. That comes from a place of low self-esteem. Because if you're a real gentleman, then you'll say, good morning, king. How are you doing? Good morning, sir. Even as to go so far as to compliment that gentleman. Say, I like, run your flight. You looking fly today. I find that some men have that hesitation.
Just can't.
They just
and
you could see somebody that look, Papa look fly,
and they would admire him.
and they would never say a word to you. But I would dare say that's one of the true marks of a gentleman, to acknowledge that, king, you're looking good today. King, I like those glasses. I like that watch. That watch is nice.
First thing I said to you when you came in is you understood the assignment.
Yeah, you have to, because I know where I was heading. You have to set the standard. The standard's already been established, so you have to.
How do we change that? How do we kind of work on that so that your son, your future, as you call him,
right.
and my son,
right.
won't be like that. Won't fall into that trap.
I think it's up to you and I to make the culture of being a gentleman cool again, to make it worthwhile, to make it more attractive.
Gotcha.
So I'll share something with you.
Sure.
Growing up, my role model was, back in the day we had cartoons where men would muscle up shorts, or big guns, and G.I. Joe and those types of people, or Rambo. My role model was James Bond.
Okay.
Just cool, calm, collective James Bond.
Not a bad role model at all. Yeah.
And I tried to emulate him in everything that I did, in the way that I dress, the way that I talk to people, the way that he was a true gentleman, where people respected it or feared him, and the ladies just loved him. He was very quiet to the touch, but he knew that he had to get his hands dirty. He would get his hands dirty.
Indeed.
So that was my role model at the time. And I think as men, we need to go back to role models like those that are mannerism, that have manners, to say, hey, excuse me, pardon me. I hear what you're saying, but opposed to where we now are in a situation, hey, your mother, blah, 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 blah. You ain't trying to hear me, because there's ways of being effective without
being combative. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, wonderful. Viewers, we are joined by the one and only Mr. Troy Christopher. Of course, a awesome and in-depth conversation, but we're going to take a pause for a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back.
The wait is over. CCT Fire is here. Experience ultra-fast downloads, seamless streaming, and even more reliable connectivity on an all-new fire-blazing super-fast CCT Fiber network. CCT Fire. Bring it home and upgrade today.
Brilliant Hands and Minds tutoring services, one-on-one tutorials in math and English, intense homework assistance, academic enrichment, school projects, effective communication and public speaking development, sign language for adults and children on Saturdays only. Registered with the Virgin Islands High School Certificate Program, Brilliant Hands and Minds can help you too. Offering intense curriculum-based training to help you or your loved ones get their high school diploma. It's time to make your family's education a #1 priority. Hurry, space is limited. Brilliant Hands and Minds Learning Center. We are the trained education professionals.
Welcome back, everyone. As mentioned earlier, I'm chopping it up with the man himself, Troy Christopher, who is joining us on season 5. By far one of our leading gentlemen.
Thank you.
Troy, what would you say is next for you in regards to Anything that you is on a list to do in regards to service or anything? Just what's next for Troy?
Honestly, to me, to serve my country would be the highest honor in my book.
Okay.
So
Exceptional.
yeah, I do believe that I have a yearning for helping others and to seeing people succeed. And more so, not just in their personal life, but the country as a whole, the territory as a whole. So when that time comes, I do definitely have a yearning desire to throw my hat into the ring in the political arena.
Commendable. And as you rightfully said, when that time comes.
When that time does come, I feel that there's a lack of people throw around these words so haphazardly these days: transparency, accountability, integrity. I feel that at the end of the day, if you can get up, go to the bathroom, have that long stare at yourself in the mirror and say, what do you really want for your country? What do you really want to the territory? What do you really want for the people? Like, what's the end goal? Do you want to see a country that's flourishing and prosperous? Or do you just want to put yourself in a position where you're in it for benefit or personal gain? I think a lot of people, if they really sit down and had that cold, quiet discussion with themselves in the mirror, they'll come to find out that they're not really in it for the people. They're not really in it for the country.
Well, what would you say at this present moment when you sit and observe? What type of Virgin Islands do you want to see for your children?
I want to see a prosperous, innovative Virgin Islands. I believe that we're so much behind the 8 ball right now in terms of innovation, in terms of thinking, in terms of progress. I mean, of course, you can't just snap your fingers and expect things to happen overnight.
True.
But I think that we need to be a bit more forward thinking as a country, a bit more free-handed in the sense of allowing the opening of certain niches and aspects that we've been restrictive and we've oppressed and running from for so long. Because at the end of the day, we need to get revenue in, we need to get numbers up, and there's certain avenues that we can utilize that we're running away from, or we're kicking the can down the road probably for the next generation to come. But these are avenues that we can tap into to get where we need to go in terms of the progress of the country.
Well, we're on that in regards to those avenues. I want to get your personal take as a gentleman on a few of those. So the legalization of pari-mutuel betting. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it could be a good thing for the country. It's there's a pros and there cons. I think those who want to should, and those who are against just don't. I believe that at the end of the day, once you put your parameters in place and those parameters are met, and once again it's in line with the best interest of the country, I find no issue whatsoever with it.
Okay. On the matter of the decriminalization or legalization of marijuana, more on a economic structure, what are your thoughts?
I am not against it. However, I think it's something that should be closely monitored. Okay. I think it's something that we can't just open the floodgates immediately. It's something that there's a level of testing and level of research and level of understanding before we could say, okay, we're going to just legalize this and whatever happens. I think that we should take put certain small measures in place first, and then eventually we get to that stage of legalization.
Fair enough. And the last one on that matter, the allowing of various franchises, whether it be food franchises, food chains, KFC, McDonald's, whatever you would want to call them, and whether it's in the hospitality restaurant or even your clothing stores, your top brands. What are your thoughts in allowing and opening them to come in and be able to serve the Virgin Islands public?
Once again, I think it'll be up to the decision of the individual. I mean, you've traveled the world and you've seen if somebody wants to buy something from Louis Vuitton or Dolce & Gabbana, they would travel and purchase that item. Opposed to if it was just here, then you would be helping your community or helping your territory here, opposed to just jumping on a plane and purchasing that item. Also, as it relates to franchises, people like what they like. You know, whether you open up a Burger King, open up a McDonald's, which ones again will be good for the community, because now the people will have to purchase these rights to open these places. Local people will have to purchase the rights to open these places, and then there'll be an influx of opportunities for employment. There'll be turnaround in revenue. But at the end of the day, you like what you like. This weekend, just the other couple days past, I felt like going to Midtown and having an omelet from Midtown, you know, and I don't think that there's any fast food joint that would be open that early in the morning I would want to go to. There's no McDonald's or KFC. Right. I wanted an omelet from Midtown.
And you went.
And I went there specifically. So people like what they like. You know, there's a niche for everybody.
The reason I asked you that is because of our prior conversation and the fact that we seem to be, as a country, running from all of these different aspects, whether it's allowing franchises. But when you think of the betterment and economic growth, I think all should be giving its rightful consideration. So thank you for sharing on that part. When you think of next generation leadership and you think of the ones that have gone before us, is there any Virgin Islander who you've observed, they could be dead or alive, and you've really admired their contribution?
That would be the late great H.L. Stout. If I had to have a one-on-one with him, I would ask him if he's satisfied with what he sees.
Wow.
Is this the vision that he had for us? Are we behind or are we in front? Or what's his take on it? Is he happy about it? What's his concerns? Especially what's his concerns with the governments that have come before him and after him, for that fact, especially the governments that are coming forth after him. Are they been governments that have carried out his agenda or his vision? Has his vision really been realized to the point where he's happy that we could go to that next level? You know, I think those would be the questions that I would ask him.
I'm amazed because while it's a great choice, it is almost verbatim the exact answer and selection that one of my other guests.
Oh wow!
Gave.
Whoa!
He's too said that he would sit him down and ask him whether or not he was pleased, and
yeah. Because at the end of the day, most of the initiatives, most of the groundwork that we stand on came from his genius. So it's only right that you ask him, hey, if you were still alive at this present moment, would you be happy or would you be gnashing your teeth and you know, would you be upset? You know, so that would be the person that I would.
Understood. Troy, I want to thank you so much for your significant contributions to us.
Thank you.
Particularly in service and serving the community in a number of capacities, many of which are pro bono. You don't get paid for sitting on these boards and serving in these capacities. So I thank you for that. We here at the Art of a Distinguished Gentleman, we congratulate you on leaving your legacy, and we wish you God's speed on whatever avenues you decide to take. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And I wish you all the best in your endeavors. Like I said, you've created a great body of work, a magna opus.
Appreciate it significantly. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Viewers, you heard from the one and only Troy Christopher here in Season 5 of The Art of a Distinguished Gentleman, really contributing to the fabric of our society through service and, in hindsight, looking forward to brighter things. I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Ultra-fast downloads, seamless streaming, and even more reliable connectivity on an all-new fire-blazing super-fast CCT Fiber network. CCT Fire, bring it home and upgrade today.